Well, still on the southern parts of Africa, Zimbabwe we go to next, and the country has received a whopping $960 million, its allocation under the International Monetary Fund. That's under the $650 billion special drawing rights amid fears of abuse, largely due to the country's history of lack of transparency and accountability.
Now, the SDR is largely seen as a game changer, with economic experts expecting it to drive growth and provide the much needed capital to support the local economy, which has suffered from a weakening local currency and low aggregate demand.
Now, Zimbabwe has struggled for 2 decades to attract fresh funding from international financial institutions like the IMF. Now, due to its ballooning debt and areas of well over $11 billion, which is almost 3 times the national budget. Now, joining us this morning to really break down all of it is our Zimbabwe correspondent, Lala Ngwenya. Lala, morning to you. Quickly, what does the arrival of this money from the IMF mean for the Zimbabwean government?
Good morning. Sorry, I didn't hear. Yes.
Yeah, morning.
Breaking off. I didn't hear. Good morning.
Morning, Lala. Good to have you. We've heard the money about Zimbabwe received from the IMF, billions, you have to say. What does this money's arrival mean for the government?
Okay, so the arrival of the money obviously is a welcome move, and it's and the government and the Zimbabwe in general, those in business and other sectors that are going to benefit from this money are very excited. However, the question on everyone's mouth is there going to be transparency in how this money is going to be used, or we're going to go through the same cycle of corruption and misuse?
Right. Now, Lala, this is a situation that is clearly been part of the history of Zimbabwe. When it comes to issue of mismanagement of funds, it is not the first time, and it has been cited as the reason Zimbabwe has been denied certain funds. In fact, for one of the debt repayments, Zimbabwe could not repay one of the debt, and the president came out and said that it is because of the COVID situation that has happened. But what do you think is responsible for this gross mismanagement of funds in Zimbabwe?
Well, you know, a lot of people may come up with a lot of reasons, but from an ordinary person, from an ordinary Zimbabwean person's perspective, it's just corruption. It's corruption that is in the system, the corruption that is in the mother bank, which is the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe. It's all about corruption. That's why there's been so much mismanagement of funds. And if you cannot account or be transparent about money loaned to you, well, what do we call that? That's corruption. But well, with this new Minister of Finance, Ngube, he's promising accountability and he's promising transparency, and everybody is hoping that, you know, the past mistakes have been a lesson for Zimbabwe, because Zimbabwe has gone for almost 20 years or more without getting any financial assistance from the international money bodies. So this is a big move, and Zimbabwe needs to prove that it has learned its lesson and that corruption is no longer part of the system.
All right, Lala, just before we let you go, now Zimbabwe, we know, is currently in debt to the tune of almost $11 billion. Now, do you see this money being put into good use, at least to ensure that it works for the people, especially, you know, the effects of COVID-19 pandemic?
Okay. Like I mentioned before, Zimbabwe needs to prove that it has learned its lesson. Zimbabwe needs to prove that it is for sure open for business, like what the president, Idi Mnangagwa, always says, that Zimbabwe is open for business, that he wants to revive, you know, or resuscitate the relationships that were lost over the during the past years. So Zimbabwe needs to prove that. They've mentioned that this money is going to go to different sectors, such as vulnerable groups, rehabilitation of roads, which have been terrible for years, full of potholes, education sector, the health system, which is a crying shame. So if this is what they've promised to do, and they need to make sure that the money is channeled to the right platforms, and that the general public, the general Zimbabwean, benefits from this. And obviously, at the same time, honor up their promise of paying up the World Bank and the African Development Bank the money that is still owed.
All right, thank you very much, our Zimbabwe correspondent Lalia Imgoina, for the latest regarding that IMF $1 billion to Zimbabwe as a windfall. Thank you very much for your time once again, Lala.